Welcome to NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California. We are gearing up for NASA's Perseverance rover to touch down on Mars. Happening in an hour and a half from now, the rover will attempt to land in Jezreel Crater. It is the most difficult landing site on Mars ever attempted. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Raquel Villanueva. In the past, mission team members gathered in our mission control for landings. But this time around, we have COVID safety measures in place. Today's landing will look a little different than what you've seen before. I am in a room by myself, and so is my co-host. Here in the Spaceflight Operations Facility, team members are in different parts of this building. Some are in mission control, others are upstairs for landing operations. We also have isolated rooms for our guests on this show. In total, we have 8 locations covered by 14 robotic cameras that you will be seeing. One of those locations is the dark room, the heart of NASA's Deep Space Network. Think of it as a giant communication switchboard. This is where spacecraft phone home to us from across the solar system and interstellar space. The Deep Space Network has been tracking Perseverance since it left Earth, and there are lots of ways you can watch landing today. We have a 360-degree camera inside the control room. It lets you experience the landing right along with the team while seeing this broadcast. We also have the clean feed. It shows an uninterrupted view of mission control and audio. También tenemos un programa en español. To tell us about it is host Diana Trujillo, who also works on the mission.
Thank you, Raquel. We're so excited to be the sister live broadcast in Spanish. Sintonízate nuestro programa en las redes sociales de Twitter, YouTube y Facebook en la NASA en español para que nos acompañes a un tour virtual de la NASA con entrevistas con astronautas, con participación de artistas, con entrevistas con científicos e ingenieros de Perseverance, con Plaza Sésamo y mucho más. Te esperamos.
Gracias, Diana. And don't forget, we want to see how you are watching the landing today. Use the hashtag Countdown to Mars to send us your photos and videos. To preview what interviews are coming up is my co-host from the JPL News office, Marina Jurica.
Thanks so much, Raquel. The excitement is building behind me right here in Mission Control as we count down to the Perseverance landing. We will be talking to some of the many people who made today possible, from scientists to engineers on the Mars 2020 Perseverance rover team to folks from NASA headquarters giving us a look into the future of Mars exploration. A little later, we will also be speaking with the students who named the rover and the helicopter. Inspirational stories as we prepare for another landing on the red planet. Back to you, Raquel.
On this exciting day, later in the show, we will be answering some of the questions you submitted through your classrooms. Landing on Mars is complex. On this exciting day, later in the show, we will be answering some of the questions you submitted through your classrooms. Landing on Mars is complex. The team will be calling out milestones as they happen. It's fast-paced, and you'll hear lots of technical terms. To help us translate and explain what is going on in mission control is Swati Mohan. She is part of Perseverance's landing team. Thanks for guiding us through landing today, Swati.
Hi, Raquel. I'm happy to be here today.
So, Swati, what is the status of the Perseverance rover right now?
So Perseverance is still in space right now, about 9,000 miles from Mars so far. So Mars is about 127 million miles from Earth right now. That means it takes about 11 minutes from light to travel from Mars. So Mars is about 127 million miles from Earth right now. That means it takes about 11 minutes from light to travel from Mars to Earth. So all the information that we receive from Perseverance actually happened 11 minutes ago. So the round trip is 22 minutes for us to send a command to Perseverance and hear back on the ground that she's received that command. This is what we call two-way light time.
That's good to know. And can you tell us who else is in the room with you right now?
The operations team is split into 2 different areas. Here in the cruise mission support area, we have primarily the team that has been flying Perseverance from Earth to Mars. You'll see the placards with the roles of each of the people by their stations. Some of the people you may hear talking today are the flight director, who is the conductor of our operations orchestra here, the entry, descent, and landing activity lead, who is a member of the landing team tasked with understanding the execution of entry, descent, and landing, and then also the telecommunications and entry, descent, and landing communications engineers who will be monitoring the signal from Perseverance through the different paths that we have. Upstairs, in what we call the war room, we have almost the entire entry, descent, and landing operations team. And then across the hall from them, we have the surface mission control room, where the surface operations team is ready and waiting to take over as soon as Perseverance's wheels touch the ground.
And you have been part of this mission for years now. Can you tell us what have you been working on?
I've been working on Perseverance for almost 8 years now as a guidance, navigation, and control engineer, working primarily on entry, descent, and landing. One of my big tasks was to help with terrain relative navigation. Perseverance will be the first mission to fly terrain relative navigation. So while she's descending on the parachute, she'll actually be looking at the ground with a camera, seeing where she is with respect to the Martian surface, and choosing a safe spot to land that she can get to. After so many years of working on the mission, it's an honor to be here today as the mission commentator.
We're happy to have you here. Thanks, Swati. We'll be checking back in with you in just a few minutes as Perseverance approaches its next milestone.
Sounds good.
But for now, let's learn more about the rover's mission once it lands on Mars.
You know, Mars is the closest place that we can reach with robotic exploration that we think had a really good chance of having ancient life.
The Perseverance rover will land at a location called Jezreel Crater. Jezreel Crater is a very interesting place. It's a crater that once held a lake.
There are a lot of craters on the surface of Mars that could have once hosted ancient lakes, but not every crater that we think had a lake actually preserves evidence that that lake was there.
It had an inflow channel and it had an outflow channel. That means it was filled. The crater was filled with water.
In Jezreel, we have probably one of the most beautifully preserved delta deposits on Mars in that crater.
This is a wonderful place to live for microorganisms, and it is also preserved so that we can find them now so many billions of years later.
There is no other place on Mars that has a unique combination of
The Perseverance mission is to investigate astrobiology on Mars, and in particular to address the question of whether life ever existed on Mars. The Perseverance rover starts with a design that's very similar to Curiosity, but we've added to it a whole new set of science instruments. And these science instruments were purposefully selected to help us in the search for biosignatures.
We're going to be taking microphones with us. For the first time, we're going to have that human sense on another planet.
Perseverance carries with her a grand experiment in spacefaring technology, a helicopter, the name of which is now Ingenuity.
One of the major upgrades that Perseverance has from Curiosity is that it's able to self-drive for a distance of up to 200 meters per day. As the rover is driving, it's literally building the map of the road it's driving on Mars.
Scientists for years have told us that to really unlock the secrets of Mars, we have to bring samples from Mars back to Earth.
So what Mars 2020 is going to do is to drill samples, put them in small tubes. We're going to seal it in its own individual tube. We set them on the surface to provide a target for the second two missions, which hopefully will get in development in the next several years and could potentially get the samples back to Earth by 2031.
Perseverance is a very, very profound first step in both our understanding of our place in the universe and a stepping stone towards human exploration on Mars.
You are watching live Mars landing commentary, and Perseverance is about to reach another important milestone. Swati, can you tell us what is happening?
We are at a milestone where the operations team determines whether they're ready to turn off the transmitter to Perseverance. Turning off the transmitter is like taking your hands off of the wheel. At this point forward, Perseverance would be on her own to execute entry, descent, and landing over 500,000 lines of code. Let's listen in.
Okay, all stations, we are ready for the transmitter off pole. ACS, are you go? ACS, are you go?
ACS is go.
Phase 2.
Phase 2 is go.
Activity. Activity is go. Uplink lead. Go. System. EDL com.
Go.
Telecom 1.
Go.
Telecom 2.
Telecoms go.
GDS 1.
Go.
GDS 2.
Go.
Fault protection.
Go.
Power.
Go.
Avionics.
Go.
Thermal.
Go.
Flight software.
Flight software go.
Data management.
Go.
Propulsion.
Go.
Art lead.
Go.
Team chief.
Go.
Ace.
Go.
Launch cruise phase lead.
Go.
Deputy mission.
Go.
EDL phase lead.
Go.
Mission assurance.
Mission assurance is go.
Chief engineer.
Chief is go.
Project manager.
Project go.
Mission manager. All stations are go for transmitter off.
Copy flight, go for transmitter off.
Raquel, we have deemed Perseverance ready to execute entry, descent, and landing on her own.
Thank you, Swati. As we just heard, Perseverance is now operating on its own as it cruises closer to Mars. To help explain what this mission means for the agency is NASA's Associate Administrator, Thomas Zurbuchen. Thomas, this is our 5th rover sent to Mars since 1997. Can you tell us how Perseverance is going to kickstart a new era?
Wow, this is such an important day today, and it really is the beginning of a new era in a sense that we're going from exploration, kind of with experiments on rovers, looking around, doing analysis, to the sample return phase, in which we're not only looking around, looking at the geology, but really turning our rover into a robotic geologist and astrobiologist, collecting samples that we will bring back to Earth. And for us, of course, those are where the best laboratories are of all of humanity. Some of them still remain to be explored by some that are not yet in the science community yet. And that's what we're looking forward to. It's that new phase. The other element that I want to talk about is the amazing technologies that are there. And of course, one of my favorites is the Ingenuity helicopter, this in search of this extraterrestrial Wright brothers moment, controlled flight for the first time elsewhere, Raquel.
Great. And we have a student question on video for you from Macy.
Hi, my name is Macy Ragsdale. My question is anything alive on Mars? Thank you.
Well, Macy, I'm so glad for your question. That's a question I ask myself. Is anything alive there? And frankly, at the surface where we're going right now with Perseverance, we do not believe there's anything alive right there because of the radiation that's there. It's chilling cold and there's really no water there. But guess what? We think that 3 billion years ago, this looked like a stream that you may see on Earth. And frankly, a lot more similar than Earth, with water with a magnetic field, just like the Earth with an atmosphere. And the question is, at that time, 3 billion years ago, were there single-cell organisms, just of the type that developed on Earth? So is there life on Mars overall? We don't know, but where we're going right now, we're really looking for ancient life, and that's what we're so excited about.
Thank you for your time today, Thomas. And thanks to everyone who has been using the hashtag Countdown to Mars. Here are some of the photos that you've sent in so far. Let's take a look. Now, please keep sharing with us how you are watching this moment today. For now, let's go back to Swati for an important update to what's going on in mission control as we get closer to another milestone.
Hi, Raquel. This next milestone is a communications pole. So during landing, not only will Perseverance talk directly to Earth, but we'll also be talking to two spacecraft that are currently orbiting Mars, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter and the MAVEN spacecraft. This poll is to confirm with the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter spacecraft and the MAVEN spacecraft teams that they are ready and on track to support the relay from Perseverance. Let's listen in.
EDL comm flight.
Go flight.
Have you performed the comm check and readiness of the orbiters?
We have performed the voice check and the readiness poll and can confirm that MRO, MAVEN, EDA, Radio Science 1 and 2, UHF, DTE, DSN, and EDL GDS are all ready to support.
Copy, EDL comm.
So we've just heard that we have confirmation from each of the different orbiters and all of their support equipment on the ground that they are ready and are on track to support the relay from Perseverance.
Great, thank you, Swati. And we just heard that communications readiness poll, which means we are ready to relay the data Perseverance will send to get a better idea of what the rover looks like as it approaches Mars. We have a NASA program called EYES. The visualization lets anyone watching track Perseverance. Here's how the program works.
Follow Perseverance on its journey to the surface of the red planet with eyes on the solar system. From your desktop or mobile device, go to eyes.nasa.gov. Click on the banner, and now you're with Perseverance in real time through every step of EDL. Entry, descent, and landing. This interactive experience lets you ride along from whatever perspective you choose. Click and drag, scroll in, scroll out. Check out the descriptions and explanations to increase your EDL expertise. Experience every entry, descent, and landing event precisely designed and executed to land Perseverance safely on Mars. The EYES experience is based on predictive data. But during this broadcast, you'll see a different visualization called Ranger, and it's based on the real communication the team in Mission Control receives from Perseverance in near real time. This is the visualization the team will follow as data fills their screens while monitoring the health of Perseverance on its nerve-wracking course to another successful Mars landing. Enjoy the ride.
You are watching live Mars landing commentary, stepping out. You are watching live Mars landing commentary. Stepping outside Mission Control to talk to us is Perseverance system engineer, Matt Smith. Thanks for joining us today, Matt.
Hey, Raquel.
Well, coming from Mission Control, we are going to hear terms related to landing. Can you help us understand what some of them mean?
Sure, definitely. One thing you'll hear a lot about is telemetry. So telemetry is just our way of talking about data that's coming from the spacecraft and telling us important things like temperatures on the vehicle, pressure, how much fuel we have left, and other things that we need to understand for the health and safety of the vehicle. You'll also hear the word nominal, hopefully. Nominal means everything is expected, everything is okay, we're good to go. You'll hear also a lot of
there was some damage to them.
Flight, we've seen
copy activity.
Flight, we've seen EDL 1503 sequence complete, all EVRs as we'd expect, disabling the 4 SFP monitors and setting states to healthy.
All protection, when you have the telemetry, let's confirm the disabled states.
Copy flight, stand by.
Surface flight. Flight on M20 off. Voice check.
I read you 5x5. Flight.
I read you 5x5 as well. Welcome aboard.
Be here.
Nav flight.
Go ahead, flight. Go ahead, flight.
Please note that in a few minutes we will conduct the nav show.
Copy that.
Flight, this FP.
Go FP.
I can confirm via EHA that the 4 expected SFP monitors are now response disabled, as expected.
Copy all protection. Nav flight. Let's go ahead and begin your briefing.
Copy that. All right, so I hope everybody
break
right now.
Break nav. Your headset's breaking up. Perhaps you want to get closer to your box.
How about now, flight?
Much better. Try it again.
Okay, I hope everybody can look at the Doppler screen. So I'm talking to that for a little bit. So the first one shows on the top the Doppler residuals right now, and you see the dashed line. That's where we expect if we had a perfect trajectory. And at this point, we're still pretty close. You can also see we're drawing our uncertainty corridor. As we get closer to Mars into the gravity well, it's less Mars is starting to tell us where we really are. And you can see that in the lower right corner, where you can see actually nicely how Mars is really telling where it is, and the uncertainty ellipses have been nicely collapsing. We're actually pretty close to EPU3 we put on board, so that looks good. So then to continue, what to expect as we go into EDL, you see here at first we're actually still in outer space, and then actually at one point, this will be the top plot on your screen, you'll see that we rapidly decelerate in the atmosphere and then actually go to parachute deploy at the hopefully at the end, and then we go further. We'll just zoom in on that a little bit. So this just shows you more zoom in of that, and we'll do that actually during the EDL, so you can get a good look at all. And you can see all the events that are going to put dashed lines because they're not quite certain at what time they exactly. that it should be close. So we'll also have a bottom plot, which will show actually where we actually try to model the signature that you saw. And if you zoom in on the latter part, you can see that we hopefully be able to see bank reversals to perform ED. And I will make those calls if I see them in the Doppler on the M20 EDL ops. So everything is looking good at this point, and nav is green. So back to you.
Copy, Nav. Thanks for that. Stations, be advised at 11:49 local, we'll begin our EDL main briefing, as well as our EDL COM briefing.
OL2, OL1, back on net.
Copy that, OL1. Thank you.
OL1, OL3.
OL3.
Letting you know that the telemetry is green.
Copy. Thanks for the update on your status.
OL1, this is Tab 1.
Go Tab 1.
We have a EPU comparison for OD-134. The position delta is now 148.1 meters. As a reminder, the previous was 157.2.
Copy. Do you mind showing the table briefly?
About velocity and to good telecommunications link with the rover.
I mean, it's scientifically fascinating because it's got a lot of things like craters and rock fields and cliffs and sand dunes and that sort of thing, which are great for the science community. That's exactly the type of features they're looking for to learn more about Mars. But they're all landing hazards for us, and so we've had to add some new technology, terrain relative navigation, which is the ability essentially to divert away from hazards. But we have taken this system through the same types of paces that we have on previous missions. We've used the same techniques, the same best practices for engineering verification, and in many cases, we've used the same people. This, in fact, is my fifth Mars rover mission, and I'm not alone. There's other people on the project in the same situation. So, the team has given it everything they've gotten to put it all out there and to make this successful, and I think we're ready.
Thanks, Matt, and good luck on your fifth mission.
Thank you very much.
Well, Jezreel Crater is a location on Mars that has intrigued scientists for years. Let's head over to Marina to learn more about the science goals of the mission.
That's right, Raquel. Here to explain why we want to go there is Deputy Project Scientist Katie Stack Morgan. Welcome, Katie.
Thanks, Marina. Glad to be here.
Now, Perseverance is landing on Mars at the Jezreel Crater. Why is it that you and the team chose this particular area?
Yeah, so scientists believe that Jezreel Crater is one of the best places on Mars and possibly the entire solar system to look for signs of ancient life. Jezreel contained an ancient lake and has within it one of the best preserved ancient delta deposits on the surface of Mars. And deltas form when a river enters a relatively open body of water, like an impact crater, and deposits the sediment that it's carrying into the lake. And we know based on studies of deltas and lakes here on Earth that they're great places to concentrate and preserve organics and support microbial life. We're also excited because Jezreel exposes rocks that are between 3.5 to more than 4 billion years old and represent a variety of different geological processes.
Now, this might be a tough choice, but what do you think would be the most rewarding scientific discovery that we expect to get from this mission?
Yes, hands down, I think the most rewarding discovery I think we can make with Perseverance would be finding a truly compelling ancient biosignature on Mars. The rocks in and around Jezreel Crater record a period of time when life first arose in the solar system, and we have the opportunity with Perseverance to study the evolution of a planet from a once habitable world likely capable of supporting ancient life to the cold, barren planet we know Mars is today.
And why do you think, Katie, it's so important to find out if there really is or was ancient life on Mars?
Well, the question of whether there's life beyond Earth is one of the most fundamental and essential questions we can ask. And our ability to ask this question and develop the scientific investigations and technology to answer it is one of the things that make us as a species so unique. And based on everything we know about Mars in the past, it absolutely should have been capable of supporting ancient life. So we can find out an answer to the question, where there were habitable environments, was there life? And studying the possible emergence of life on ancient Mars can also help us better understand the conditions that led to life on our own planet Earth.
That's so fascinating, Katie. And now we're going to take a question from a student, Vara.
Hi, I am Vara, and my question is, why was Mars able to sustain lakes and rivers ages ago, but cannot now? Isn't it cold enough to make water, and isn't it always? Thank you.
Yeah, that is such a great question. And one of the things that protects our atmosphere here on Earth and allows liquid water to be stable on our own planet is the fact that we have a magnetic field protecting that atmosphere. We think that Mars lost its magnetic field way back billions of years ago and left the atmosphere exposed to things like solar wind and cosmic rays that basically blew that atmosphere away. And once that happened, liquid water wasn't stable on the surface of Mars anymore. It was too cold and the pressure was too low. And so now Mars is not capable of supporting liquid water and likely not capable of supporting life at its surface.
Well, thank you so much to Vara for that great question. And a big shout out to all the kids that are watching out there today. And thank you so much to you, Katie, for joining us. That was so great.
Thank you.
Now sending it back over to you, Raquel.
Thanks, Marina. Earlier, we were able to catch up with the communications systems engineer, Chloe Sakier. She helps us break down the system used to track Perseverance during landing.
The communications infrastructure supporting Perseverance's landing is quite complex. We've rallied a truly global network of relay and communications assets to help us capture and record those precious minutes of entry, descent, and landing, or EDL. We receive a stream of engineering telemetry via these communication assets that helps us see and understand exactly what's happening. Perseverance sends direct-to-Earth X-band tones, each of which provides us with indications of critical entry, descent, and landing events. During entry, descent, and landing, we have 2 Mars orbiters listening for the ultra-high frequency, or UHF, signals from Perseverance. These orbiters relay these signals to deep space network stations on Earth, Madrid in Spain, and Goldstone in California. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, or MRO, has reconfigured its software to perform a type of relay called bent pipe. This will provide us with near real-time telemetry during entry, descent, and landing. We have coverage from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter from just before entry to a few minutes after landing. The telemetry we receive will be delayed by the time it takes light to travel from Mars to us back on Earth. Additionally, the Mars Atmosphere and Volatile Evolution spacecraft, or MAVEN, is recording these UHF signals and will be relaying that recording hours after landing. MAVEN will be covering us from around the time of cruise stage separation until a few minutes after landing. We also receive what we call heartbeat tones, which are indications that the spacecraft is alive and progressing throughout entry, descent, and landing. It's important to note that while unexpected, we could lose our communication links and still land safely. Because Perseverance is doing entry, descent, and landing completely autonomously, She doesn't need our help to joystick the landing. The communication links give us added visibility.
And you can see Chloe hard at work inside Mission Control right now. Perseverance's landing might look like the system the Curiosity rover used back in 2012. But landing on Mars is difficult. There's always a risk involved. Here's what needs to happen for Perseverance to touch down safely in Jezreel Crater.
Nothing can be taken for granted when you get to Mars. There's a lot of things we just don't know.
Space always has a way of throwing us curveballs and surprising us.
I mean, until we get the data that says we're on the ground safely, I'm going to be...
For local time. In the HRS vent anchor, in preparation for firing our pyros, we will set the BCB discharge FETs on and the BCB charge FETs off. We'll power on the pyro firing cards and arm the rover pyro bus. We will power off the cruise stage devices and stop flight software communication to the PAMs, all in preparation for cruise stage separation. And then we will fire our pyros to vent the HRS liquid and gas. We will then be 13.5 minutes from entry. We'll be 2 minutes from the next anchor, which is cruise stage separation. In cruise stage separation, we will start the X-band EDL tones and UHF will start transmitting. We will initiate the descent stage thermal batteries and open the power dead face relays between all stages. We will fire the PV1 and 2 to enable the descent stage prop system. We'll then perform our cruise stage sequence using our pyros. At that point, we would have transitioned to EDL commentary for the remaining until landing.
Copy activity.
Oh, well, this is TAP 3.
EDL comm flight.
OD133 ready for display.
At this time, let's go ahead and do our EDL comm briefing.
Copy that. I would like to inform the team of our upcoming X-band telemetry loss just prior to cruise stage separation due to the transition to direct-to-Earth tones. We can expect X-band tones only until we have telemetry lock with MRO, which will be about 1 minute prior to entry. This means we will be tones only for about 9 minutes before receiving telemetry via MRO.
Just a question.
An additional note for the flight team,
maybe
no
because
need
I'm
to
missing
reconfigure
something.
telemetry viewers.
Are we just starting to do every other run out
where there is X-band telemetry
based on what's being delivered?
Additionally, for anyone who's monitoring the subsystem, a reminder that EDL will hog the bandwidth of our 8 kilobit per second stream. We also expect loss of comm at periods of antenna switching, explicitly backshell separation and rover separation, and during a possible plasma blackout.
And the
Finally, we
125
expect
jump
to lose direct Earth MFSK tones about a minute prior to landing around
I believe it's planes are being delivered more quickly than
now,
they
though
are
it is unlikely, we could also lose direct to Earth prior to this Earth set if we experience a TWITA overcurrent event, or we could lose UHF at mobility
Oh, well, this is TAP 3. Can you repeat your question here?
That affects the Electra. Nominally, we expect to have UHF coverage through 7 minutes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I understood why we're not doing, I don't see sequential numbers anymore, but we're doing every other one in the run out.
Copy.
Correct. We're receiving ESS for every other OD solution, so we're running all the ESFs we're getting.
Perfect. Thank you.
Activity flight.
Go flight.
We have EVRs indicating our telecom reconfig per expectation. Can you confirm?
That's affirmative flight.
TAP 3, leave that up for another minute or two, please.
Welcome.
And our last window has terminated as expected.
EDL team in the war room, we were getting comments that some of people's masks don't look like they're tight, so please make sure that it looks like you have a good seal on around your mask.
Thanks, Top 3.
Sweet.
EDL activity off net for 5.
Copy.
Flight telecom.
Go ahead, telecom.
In just under half a minute, we're going to go one way and lose telemetry briefly until the station locks up again.
Copy, telecom. That is per expectation with our transmitter off.
Control for an update from Swati.
Hi, Raquel. So remember that command that we sent at around 11:35 to turn the transmitter off? We are just about to get confirmation that Perseverance has received the command. The command took 11 minutes to go to Perseverance, and then the reply took 11 minutes to get back from Perseverance to the ground. So we should hear any second now that we have officially turned off the transmitter. And after that, we will be about 4 minutes from the start of entry, descent, and landing mode. At this point, we will transition from the cruise approach mode to entry, descent, and landing. And that means our travel from Earth to Mars is done, and now we just need to get to the surface. So far, things are looking good.
Great.
This is CAD 3, ready to show estimated miss distance for OD 152.
Copy, EDL phase. Welcome back. Flight Ace. Go Ace.
Our tracking stations have all confirmed the results of the transmitter drive off and in lock one way.
Copy, Ace. GDS flight. Flight GDS. At this time, I'd like to disable the alarms before EDL main. So please disable all the alarm files and start a new downlink session. Copy that. EDP. Copy that. Proceeding now.
Confirmation that we are now officially one way and the transmitter is off.
Rover mission has helped shape the other, starting with the landing of the Pathfinder more than 20 years ago, leading up to where we are today with Perseverance. Perseverance Deputy Project Manager Jennifer Trosper has worked on every Mars rover mission, and she joins us now. Jennifer, how does Perseverance fit into the history of exploring Mars?
Thanks, Raquel. It's great to be here. Well, Perseverance is NASA's 5th rover on Mars, and I've had the privilege of working on every one of them. And the very first rover was the Sojourner rover we sent in 1997, and it was the size of a microwave oven. And even at that small size, Sojourner was able to transform the way that we explore Mars, from stationary landers to small roving robots that go from place to place, just like a geologist would on Earth. So once we had that roving capability, Then we sent our twin rovers Spirit and Opportunity. Spirit and Opportunity were tasked with finding evidence of ancient water on Mars. Now they did. They're great explorers, and both of them found ample evidence that water had once existed on the surface of Mars. But we had a question. Another question then was Mars ever habitable if water had been there? And that's when we sent Curiosity. Now Curiosity was a major upgrade to our rover fleet. She's the size of a small car. She landed with the Sky Crane system instead of airbags. And she also carries along her own sample analytics lab, and she's still operating today. And during her exploration, she has found evidence of a habitable environment in an ancient lake bed on Mars. So now we're sending Perseverance. Perseverance is tasked with answering the question and looking for evidence of ancient microbial life on Mars. And in order to do this, she has to be the smartest and most capable rover we've ever sent.
Speaking of Perseverance, can you tell us more about how Perseverance is smarter than its predecessors?
Yes, we've made a lot of upgrades to help her along with the surface mission. One of them is for her autonomous traverse capability. When I say autonomous traverse, I mean we tell her where we want her to end up, and she has to figure out the safe and best way to get there. In order to do that, she uses her cameras, algorithms, a computer. So we've given her another computer, we've upgraded the cameras, and we've upgraded the algorithms. Now she drives 3 times as fast as Curiosity could drive in this autonomous traverse mode. In fact, her average daily distance for driving, about 200 meters, is close to the maximum distance any rover has ever driven in a day on Mars. So she's fast. Another thing that we've done, which is the most significant upgrade that we've made, is the sample caching system itself. Curiosity has a robotic arm, like Perseverance has a robotic arm, but on the end of Perseverance's robotic arm is a coring drill that will go and take rock cores, transfer them into sample tubes and into the rover, where another robotic arm will take those tubes, will seal them and store them, and eventually drop them on the surface of Mars for future return to Earth.
Great, and we also have a social media question about Perseverance. Erica AS on Instagram wants to know what the wheels of the rover are made out of.
Great question. Well, you may think we make them out of some material you've never heard of. It turns out they're made of aluminum. Now, Perseverance's wheels are a little thicker than Curiosity's, but they're actually both made out of aluminum.
And one more question for you. Can you tell us more about the importance of where you are right now in the building?
Yes, I am above, on the 2nd floor, above the cruise mission support area that you've been watching. And this is the surface mission support area. So as soon as Perseverance lands, all commands, this room will take over. It will become headquarters for operating Perseverance on Mars.
Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Now, we now know Perseverance's place in history. Let's take an up-close look at the rover with Mars 2020 System Testbed Engineer, Elio Morillo.
Thank you, Raquel. I'm standing in front of the Mars 2020 Perseverance scaled model. As you can tell, this vehicle is about the size of a Mini Cooper. These wheels are obviously black here and they look like rubber, but they're actually fully made of metal. These wheels are designed to allow us to climb over obstacles and of course climb over hills and minimize the amount of slipping once we're traversing on the surface of Mars. Here in the front of the rover, we have the sample caching system. And of course, at the very front end of this is the robotic arm, which this entire system is arguably the most complex robotic system we've ever sent outside of Earth. Here at the tip of the arm, we have a turret which contains a suite of instruments along with some drills and coring capabilities that will allow us to do contact science once we get to the surface of Mars. Not only that, this robotic system is equipped to collect samples about the size of a piece of chalk that then eventually will be stored inside of the vehicle and dropped off in a later location so that an eventual mission can go and return these samples to Earth, something we've never done in the past. Here in the front, we have the remote sensing mast. Something of note is that this mechanism is going to be stowed upon the touchdown on the surface of Mars. And one of the first critical activities we do is deploy this mechanism. This mechanism includes several cameras that are going to give us some of the most breathtaking images we've ever taken on Mars. Along with that, we have some lasers as well as a spectrometer. They're going to allow us to do some remote science. Here you see some of these extrusions that are part of the larger weather suite of instruments that will allow us to characterize the local climate around Perseverance. So that's a quick tour of the rover, but I gotta get back to work. So back to you.
Regardless of their previous state. And we told the spacecraft to stop any in-progress CBM windows and any in-progress SFP responses, although we had neither of those active at the time. Although many parts of the spacecraft are essential for EDL, the things that we marked healthy include the TDS, our landing radar, both DIMUs, and the vision compute element and the DMCA. We've also gone ahead and set the vehicle config in case we get a reset at the end of EDL to make sure that when the vehicle wakes up, it assumes that it is in the surface configuration. I'll pause here as we watch the rest of the events of EDL start.
EDL start anchor has continued. We've seen the EDL 2000 sequence complete, powering off the LCAM heater. We are proceeding to reinforce device states.
LULU entry guidance back on net. How do you read me?
Bye-bye.
Reacquire our knowledge to pseudo-celestial IMU.
LULU 2, tap 2 is back on net.
Copy, tap 2.
OL guidance 2, take 2.
Copy activity.
Copy guidance. OL2, OL1, can you take the con for 2 minutes?
Copy that.
Thank you.
The flight, the warnings we saw so far are all expected. Copy activity. Okay, phase 2, you want to continue the description you were giving?
Yeah, sure, flight. Right now we are doing two things. We're taking this opportunity to reinforce the state of the spacecraft. A lot of the actions that we're doing right now, the devices are already in this state. This is something that we do just to make sure that the spacecraft is in the state we want it after any type of fault protection responses may have been executing. Of course, we didn't have that situation today, but that's why some of these actions are here. Since we've started the EDL start anchor, we have gone ahead and turned on the backup REPA. We've also turned off the LCAM heater, which was preheating the LCAM to the appropriate temperature for the beginning of EDL, so we can so it can coast down thermally and be at the right temperature when we use it later on just before backshell step. We also have our RCS cap beds still on and heating up those thruster cap beds as we prepare to fire them for the first time during guided entry. We should have no change in our avionics state except for our urea net that we saw at the beginning. And our flight software execution state should remain the same. But the backup computer running Second Chance will have armed itself and it is prepared to take over as we go through EDL if we should experience any type of reset from the prime computer.
OL1 back on net.
Copy that. OL2 going off net for 2.
Copy.
As we speak, we are transitioning CBM states, and I think activity is going to give us a little more information on that in their update.
Yeah, copy phase. The CBM change, as I mentioned previously, is to the EDL reserve two-way non-coherent
Right
row.
here, activity.
Copy flight.
EDL phase, go ahead.
Like to see pep talk, I guess, to the team. All right. You know, I'm terrible at pep talks. I think my reputation precedes me there. And look, I know this hasn't been easy, right? I'm not even sure we've even been all in the same room at the same time. I mean, I'm staring at folks across the internet as well. Even now, right? Only. Yeah. Voice check. Okay. I do want to just extend my heartfelt appreciation from the EDL team to the launch cruise team. You've done everything we've asked for, right? I mean, you've battled anomalies, you've dealt with Cephis, you've done everything. You delivered a healthy spacecraft to the place that we want to go, and she's right on target, right? We did the last maneuver literally 2 months ago, right? This is pretty incredible, in my opinion. And she's armed with the right information to help us land. You know, doing the parameter update last night, we're ready to roll. You've done everything right. And you've put up with us too, right? You've put up with our eccentricities and the things we like to do in EDL land. So I very much appreciate that. So you all should sleep in on Friday, since you guys have earned it. Thanks for literally and figuratively putting us in the right position to succeed. And let's land on Mars together.
Copy EDL phase. And as flight director, I also would like to thank the whole team, cruise ops, EDL ops, EDL team, and the surface ops as well. It's been an amazing journey. I think we all know that. And it's been my honor and pleasure to work with you all side by side. And your tireless efforts and endurance in the face of our challenges has been truly, truly inspiring. So kudos to you. Mission, would you like to say something?
Yeah, just echoing the same words that Al and Magdi have mentioned. You guys have overcome great obstacles in the last 6.5 months, and it started with an earthquake in this room on launch day at L-20 minutes. So I can't be more proud than all of the achievements that you guys have pulled off in the last 6.5 months. Whatever happens in the next hour and a half, you can be proud of the achievements that you've accomplished so far. I look forward to seeing you on the other side, and I only wish that the rest of our team could be sharing this moment with us. This is a very unusual event. This room is only half as full as it would be if we weren't in this pandemic. So missing everybody on the team who's not with us here today. And go EDL.
Welcome to the EDL family.
OL1, OL2 back on net.
And with that, Godspeed Perseverance. All right, activity. Go ahead and continue the report.
Sure thing, flight. We've since completed the EDL start anchor. As I was mentioning, we changed our CBM row to EDL reserve two-way non-coherent. That row reinforces our CBM windows disabled, keeps our packetization on, it turns off our ranging and switches to the auxiliary oscillator. We have also started our real-time data products and reinforced Medley on. At this time, our next anchor will be at 12:30 local time.
Copy activity.
OL1, this is TAD1.
Go TAD1.
I have an OD136 comparison with EP3. The position delta is now 147.3 meters, up very slightly from the 147.7 meters we had previously.
Copy. This may be our last look before we stop stealing the screen. Do you want to go ahead and show it? With the viewplane, if you have it. Thanks.
Okay, all stations, as with our tradition, we usually would have some peanuts at this moment. We all had our peanuts at lunch, but to keep our tradition, I will take one peanut for all of us to keep our tradition.
Oh, well, this is TAD3.
Go.
Miss distance for OD133 is 810 meters.
Copy. Do you have a pair of runouts on a plot you'd like to share?
Yes, I do.
Please do. Thank you, TAD3.
Flight Telecom.
Go ahead, Telecom.
Telecom, I just want to let you know that radio science reports that despite the inclement weather in West Virginia, the Green Bank telescope was able to point at Mars. There was a threat that they were not going to be able to do it because of the rain and snow, and the ice, but they are doing it.
Copy, Telecom. Great news. Systems flight.
Go flight.
Were you able to find the visualization so we can display it?
Affirmative. I will try again. My computer was having trouble with the visualization and WebEx, but I will restart WebEx and try again.
Copy.
All stations on M20 EDL ops. Probably the last time if you feel the need to do a battery change to do that before we go into quiet mode. Also, unless we have something updated we want to show in the next couple of minutes, we're about to turn over our WebEx screen to Telecom for tones. At that point, I'm happy to get updates in chat in our WebEx on EDL ops, but I'd prefer to not have any more call-outs over the net unless you see something you do not expect.
this is TAP 3. I have the runout solution for OD135, distance to target 392 meters.
Copy. Feel free to share if you'd like. To OL1 voice check.
Are you 5 by OL1?
Copy.
Of the biggest questions that humans have ever asked. Are we alone in the universe, and where did we all come from? And by sending a rover to Mars, we are gaining evidence for the answers to these questions, more evidence than we ever had before, and I think that's so exciting.
It is, and I know you get loads of interesting questions from kids. Have you gotten any about Mars specifically?
Oh my gosh, yes. Everybody loves Mars. It's in movies and books and TV shows, and everybody loves Mars. So one of the things that I get asked a lot is that, it's called the red planet. Why is it red? Well, it's red because it's literally rusty. The top layer of soil on Mars has iron oxide in it, or rust, and rust has that brownish red color. So it's red because it's rusty. And also because it's red, they ask, is it red hot? Is it really hot on Mars? And well, no, actually, it's colder than the Earth. It's farther away from the sun. So as you would imagine, it's a little bit colder than the Earth. It also has a really thin atmosphere. So the heat that it does have, it has a hard time keeping in. And so it's a little bit colder. But then I also get asked, what would I weigh on Mars? That's a really fun question. So on Mars, it's a little bit smaller than the Earth, so the gravity there is weaker. It's about 3/8 the gravity that we have here on Earth. So if you weighed 100 pounds here on Earth, you'd weigh 38 pounds on Mars, or 100 kilograms here on Earth, 38 kilograms on Mars.
Those are all super fun. I think even some adults want to know the answers to those questions, Emily. Now, why do you think it's so important to educate kids about science and give them that great foundation?
Well, science is the language of nature, and learning about science and learning how to think like a scientist means you are learning how to systematically seek out truth in the world. You are learning the scientific method, you're learning how to be a critical thinker, and honestly, those skills are great for whatever you end up wanting to do in life.
True. If you want to be a scientist or an opera singer, that holds true. And what are you most excited about today?
I mean, humans are launching a robot to Mars. That doesn't happen every day. I think in all of the hecticness that is going on today and all of the nerves, I just hope everyone can take a moment to sit back and remember that we live in a time when humans have the ability to send a robot to another planet. And that's so cool to me.
Throughout much of cruise and EDL approach. And it's our precursor to making many more radical changes to the state of the vehicle. Matt Wallace said it well the other day. EDL is kind of like a controlled disassembly of the vehicle. As we go through, we need to get rid of the things we don't need anymore and get ready to put our wheels on the ground. So one of the final things that we're doing here is ensuring that our ACS knowledge is top-notch. We depend on ACS to pass an estimate of the vehicle's attitude and rate of change to EDL, and that's our starting point for propagating down to the ground. When we come up in the EDL prep anchor, is when we'll take the last state from ACS, and we'll be propagating from that point to the ground until we get more knowledge from the radar once we turn it on. I can give a high-level overview of some of the events that are going to transpire throughout EDL. Of course, commentary will be detailing this as we go through. And you'll hear a lot of members of the EDL team calling out specific events as they occur and indicators as we see them. But to give everyone an idea of what we're going to see, we will first start shortly here. We'll get news that the vehicle has separated the cruise stage, since we no longer need that. We need to prepare for entry into the atmosphere. After that, we will indeed start the entry process. At this point, we're depending on the heat shield to both protect the spacecraft and help slow us down. We'll be gathering data from our Medley sensors, and we'll be decelerating rapidly at that point. As we make our way through the atmosphere, we'll be firing our DRCS thrusters that poke out the back of the back shell, and this will allow us to steer our trajectory as we make our way through the atmosphere. This is one of the things that allowed MSL, the Curiosity rover, to land where it did. And we're depending on the same type of entry guidance this time around to help get us very close to our target. As we make our way through entry, finish our guided entry profile, we'll do a maneuver called heading alignment, where we point toward the target and get ready to deploy the parachute. But before we deploy the parachute, we need to get rid of a set of balanced masses that have been giving us a center of gravity, or CG offset, throughout the guided entry phase. So these are called the entry balance masses. We also call this maneuver SUFR, S-U-F-R, or straighten up and fly right. So we'll go ahead and eject those masses when we get a trigger from the GN.
Flight EDLCOM.
Go EDLCOM.
As per step 205 in the OCP, we can confirm that MRO has started their first flu.
Copy EDLCOM.
EDL prep anchor has begun. We have stopped our AMAN, started the raw DP for EDL, idled the nav filter and IVP, and we are now propagating via the DIMU. We've powered on our UHF, but it's not yet transmitting, and the anchor has complete. We expect our next anchor to start in 2 minutes.
Copy activity.
"90 seconds from entry interface, and standing by for Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to pick up the telemetry." We are 1 minute from entry interface.
MROs are in receive mode.
We have confirmation that the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter is now relaying data from Perseverance. We're about 30 seconds from entry interface. Perseverance is going about 5.2 kilometers per second and is about 190 kilometers altitude above the surface of Mars.
Confirm UHF data flow.
seconds from entry
MTLW
interface.
on.
5.3 kilometers per second and an altitude of about 150 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
Entry.
We have confirmation of entry interface. Perseverance is currently going 5.3 kilometers per second at an altitude of about 120 kilometers from the surface of Mars. The spacecraft is now waiting until it begins feeling the atmosphere of Mars to slow it down. Once there is enough atmosphere, it will start controlling its path to the landing target.
Doppler indicates entry into the atmosphere.
Navigation is also confirming that we can see a little bit of that slowdown of the atmosphere on the Perseverance entry capsule. Our current velocity is about 5.36 kilometers per second and an altitude of about 67 kilometers from the surface.
We are probably seeing MRO plasma blackout at this point.
Bank 1 completed.
MRO has lost log.
Doppler indicate reversal, bank reversal.
We have indications that Perseverance is now performing bank reversals in the atmosphere. These are the steps in order to control its distance to the landing target. Perseverance has just passed through the point of maximum deceleration and has indicated that it felt approximately 10 Earth Gs of deceleration.
MRO has lock again.
Doppler indicate reversal.
Bank 2 complete.
We saw a small outage of the UHF telemetry from Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter during that peak heating phase, likely caused by the plasma blackout. Perseverance is still continuing to perform bank reversals in the atmosphere to control its distance to the landing target.
Doppler indicate reversal.
End of range control, range minus 1.9 kilometers, cross range minus 2.4 kilometers.
Perseverance is going about 1 kilometers per second at an altitude of about 16 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have entered heading alignment, which means Perseverance is no longer trying to control the distance to Mars, but to the target on Mars, but instead is flying straight to the target. Our current velocity is about 550 meters per second at an altitude of about 15 kilometers from the surface.
MRO is reporting good telemetry log.
We are coming upon the start. We are starting the straighten up and fly right maneuver,
UVMD jettison,
where the spacecraft will jettison the entry balance masses in preparation for parachute deploy and to roll over to give the radar a better look at the ground.
Doppler indicates chute deploy.
The navigation has confirmed that the parachute has deployed and we are seeing significant deceleration in the velocity. Our current velocity is 440 meters per second at an altitude of about 12 kilometers from the surface of Mars.
Heat shield set.
Perseverance is now slowed to subsonic speeds and the heat shield has been separated. This allows
both the radar and the cameras to get their first look at the surface. Current velocity is 145 meters per second at an altitude of about 9.5 kilometers above the surface.
Nav filter converge. Velocity solution 3.3 meters per second. Altitude 7.4 kilometers.
Now has radar lock on the ground. Current velocity is about 100 meters per second, 6.6 kilometers above the surface of Mars. Perseverance is continuing to descend on the parachute. We are coming up on the initialization of terrain relative navigation and subsequently the priming of the landing engines. Our current velocity is about 90 meters per second at an altitude of 4.2 kilometers.
LVS valid.
We have confirmation that the lander vision system has produced a valid solution and part of terrain relative navigation.
Priming. TBA is nominal.
We have priming of the landing engines.
Back shell set.
Is 83 meters per second. We have confirmation that the lander vision system has produced a valid solution and part of terrain relative navigation. We have priming of the landing engines. Current velocity is 83 meters per second at about 2.6 kilometers from the surface of Mars. We have confirmation that the back shell has separated.
Constant velocity accordion, altitude error.
We have started our constant velocity accordion, which means we are conducting the sky crane, about to conduct the sky crane maneuver.
We've lost direct-to-earth tones.
Throttle down. Sky crane maneuver has started. About 20 meters.
Tango Delta. Nominal.
We're getting signals from MRO.
Remu stable.
UHF is good. Touchdown confirmed. Perseverance.
MRO reports they're still getting telemetry from the lander.
All right, all stations. Touchdown confirmed. We're going to wait for the images.
OL3, OL1, you have what you need?
OL3, I have what I need.
Flight, we have seen the completion of EDL 3000.
Copy.
Copy activity. That is as expected.
MRO is still seeing a strong signal from the lander.
Flight, this is OL3. I am ready to share.
OL3, you are go. For those on M...
All stations stand by for the images.
Yes! Woo!
Flight, this is OL3. I have the target point on the map when you are ready. We are ready, OL3. Go for it.
Oh my goodness! Oh! Yikes! Oh my goodness.
Flight, I'll be moving in, showing you the safe zone that we've landed in. OL flight.
TRN. TRN.
Can we get the cliff image, OL?
Activity, this is OL. Can you repeat that request on M20 EDL off?
OL, can we get the other image? Should show the cliff.
I'm sorry, say what image again? I'm not understanding.
Flight OL3. OL3. You can see we've landed about 35 meters from the nearest rocks that we could identify from orbit by their shadows. Copy OL3, TRN in action.
Yep. Take that, Jezreel. Woo!
I remember this spot. It looks good. Copy OL3. I'm sure that you have seen them all and you recognize them all. So
Flight reports Electra still in lock with the lander.
Flight, we have seen the transition to surface. EDL is done.
Woo! Woo-hoo! Transition to surface. All stations
Thank you, MRO.
congratulations, Perseverance team, and the whole team that's not here as well. Excellent job.
All stations on M20 EDL ops, we have transitioned to surface as reported downstairs. If you are part of that story to the surface team, make sure you're starting to work those inputs, please.
OL1, this is AL2, voice check.
I read you 5 by.
I just want to announce to everybody I've taken a first pass at the surface transition report. I've got some numbers from the script, and I'm awaiting inputs from a couple people still, and confirmation from others. It's ready for review.
Copy. The end of that was it's ready for review. Are you asking people to take a look at your CASHA report?
That's right. It's ready for review. I'm looking for confirmation from a handful of folks on some of the values before making it final.
Copy. Do you want that confirmation over this net?
The process is to work it over email. I've sent out an email that they can reply to.
Thank you.
Who did you know? Yeah.
TAP and TAD1, OL1, can we go ahead and get handoff ready to go for our final Monte Carlo for today?
This is TAD1. We're already working on it.
Copy. Can you tell me what OD that's on?
The latest one I have is 137. I'll go jump into the nav room and confirm that's the last one.
Copy.
Oh, well, this is TAP1. We're ready to run that Monte Carlo when the handoff is ready.
Copy. Thanks, TAP1.
TAD1, this is TAD2.
Go TAD2. Oh, sorry.
TAD1, this is TAD2.
TAD and TAD. Just wanted to get permission to release the tracking stations and the NOPEs and everybody.
TAD2, TAD1 is currently talking to nav. Stand by. Frickin' Medley too.
OL1, this is TAD1.
Go TAD1.
I confirmed that OD137 is the final DOD with all of the two-way data up until 20 gone.
Copy. Thank you.
TAD1, TAD2.
Sorry, TAD2, were you calling TAD1?
Indeed. I was wondering if you wanted to cancel that last Monte Carlo before we start this one, or if I should get HBC on it so you can focus on the handoff.
How far along is it?
$5,700 cases.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and kill it.
Thank you, TAD1.
What was that for? Hey, Lynn.